Welcome to SportScene. How's everybody doing today? I like to hear that. I am your host, Alex Riley, and you're in for an interesting edition of this week's SportScene. The show is based on how the host reacts to the panel's views on the current hot topics of sports. But let's get this out in the open. Last time I watched basketball was when Rodman, Jordan, and Pippen were in the Bulls. Baseball and football. I'm a Wisconsin fan at heart, so I watch those games on occasion. And let's not talk about NHL and PGA for me, because that's just a road we don't want to go down to. But thankfully, that's why I'm fortunate to be joined by an esteemed panel of sports colleagues. So let's get to know them, shall we? Starting off, our sports panel is brought to us by Uncle Sam. It's James Don't Tread on Me Wheeler. How you doing, James?
Doing good today.
Up next is Barrett the Barrage Everson. What he lacks in geographic knowledge, he sure makes up for sports. How you doing, Barrett?
Doing well, thank you.
And last but not least, he overcame an illness to join us today. He's traveling Travis Judell. How you doing, Travis?
Great.
Feeling less sick, I hope?
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, glad to hear that. So as we begin things, let's kick it off with the NHL Playoffs. They will begin this week, and some games will even be starting as early as tomorrow. So seeing as, James, you have the one with the hockey shirt, we'll kick it off to you. What's your stance on the playoffs, and who do you got?
All right, for the playoffs, I got the Bruins as the #1 seed, obviously in the Eastern Conference. We also have Chicago Blackhawks on the Western Conference. I personally, just straight out of the bat, I think that Blackhawks are going to take it all. But when it comes to the Bruins and the Red Wings, I believe that the Bruins have been battle-tested all year. They're basically good every year. They have better possession and goaltending, and they're definitely going to win against the Red Wings, hands down.
Yeah, definitely. I also have Boston. They're the #1 seed out of the Eastern Conference, and then I have the Blackhawks in the Western Conference. They're the defending champs, so they know how to do it. But Boston, I think they're going to take it all because they've been there before. They're a team that is built to win playoff games. They have depth beyond any other NHL team. They have the best goalie in the league, which you mentioned. They have a complete four-line team. And Patrice Bergeron, he's one of the clutchest players in the NHL. And I definitely just see them overdoing everyone and taking down names like the Red Wings and Tampa Bay, and also beating Penguins and things like that.
Barrett, what about you?
You know, as much as I'd love to see the Minnesota Wild do well, I do believe that they are overmatched, possibly even in the first round against the Colorado Avalanche, I believe. It's hard not to go with the Blackhawks. They've won 2 out of the last 4 years. They are the defending champs. I think Boston's playing really well right now, and they're probably a little bit upset for taking home the second place last year, so it's probably going to be between those two teams again. But watch out for the Penguins. You know, they got Sidney Crosby. They're always a little bit dangerous. He's the #1 goal scorer as far as I know, and I think should be exciting.
You know, it's actually a lot of interesting points that you guys have been making, but I'm still not a little bit sold yet. You know, I feel like you guys have been making some good points, but I feel like you guys can go a little bit more elaborate into that. So let's have some final statements before we give out some points. Well,
my final statement for Boston, I'm just going to reemphasize that they've been there before. They're a team that's built to win playoff games. They took second last year, so they are ticked off, and they're out there, and they're going to skate their hearts out and hopefully take home.
Yeah, I think Boston, I mean, today is the anniversary date of the Boston Marathon Massacre, and I think that they have some pride that they want to show the city that they are Boston strong.
Well, that's a very good point there, and due to that little current event there for that, I'm going to give 20 points over to Barrett there for some history thing. I appreciate that. Thank you for that. Moving on to the next topic, we have Jeter, who has made the announcement earlier in the year that he will be the time is right for him. He's ready to retire, and so after the 2014 season, he's going to be calling it quits. So what does this mean for the New York Yankees, and where do they go from here? We're going to start things off with, I mean, either way, it can go great with the Brewers thing. Let's start with Travis.
Well, right now he's sitting because of tightness in his hamstring, and I just think that that's horrible. He needs to play. People want to see Jeter play. I know plenty of people who have bought tickets to series all over the country just because they want to see Jeter in his last last game where they could go see him or things like that, because this is his last season. And just people want to see him play, so play him. I mean, that's the reason why people are buying tickets, is to see him.
Well, Joe Girardi said it best, that he didn't get hired to be the coach of a farewell tour. He tried to coach a team to the playoffs, so I agree with the fact that he needs to rest him if he's not 100%. But at the same time, dude's 39 years old, so get somebody to help him stretch in between innings. You know, if he's in the dugout, stretch him out.
James, what about you?
I believe with these two, or I agree with these two. Let him play his last year. He's a dinosaur. He's been around for years. You know, let him do his thing. Go out there and play. And I think he picked a good time to retire. Leave on a good note. You know, and that's about it.
So you guys mentioned that he's currently on the bench right now due to some injury. So when do you expect that they'll put him back into the playoffs and everything, and you know, maybe make that last statement that he wants to make over for the Yankees?
Well, I do think it's early enough in this season that they're not too worried about, you know, the big picture yet, and I think they'll probably rest him early. But after the All-Star break, I think he'll start to see more time. He'll probably play, you know, 95% of the games, I would think, you know. And I'd say, as far as for the fans, you know, it's a bummer, but maybe don't pay attention to the Yankees and go for a team like the Brewers.
Ooh, yeah.
That is a good point. Yeah, definitely. The Yankees are the Yankees. Everyone pays attention to the Yankees and Jeter. But like you said, they're resting him early. They don't want to risk having him hurt for the whole season, which I can understand, because when it gets towards the end of the season, that's when everyone really wants to see him play, because those are his end games and in the playoffs and things like that. They don't want him out for the playoffs. That would be horrible. He was out for the playoffs.
I agree with that. I agree with that as well. Jeter's had his time to shine, so he's played well over the years. He's had plenty of great seasons. Also, I believe with I agree with resting him for the playoffs, so you know he can go out on a good note.
A lot of good points being made here for Derek Jeter, and as a result, I'm thinking about giving 20 points over to James for his stuff. So congrats on that, James. And moving along to a topic that obviously 2 out of the 3 of our panelists are pretty favored about. How about the Brewers? They just had a loss against the Cardinals last night, but lately they've been having the highest ERA with around the 1.9 mark. So granted, they had the loss last night, but they're still 10-3. They're still doing pretty well. So is this a quick speed bump on the road to victory, or is this the beginning of the end for the Brewers? Let's start off with Travis.
I definitely think the Brewers are for real this year. I've been a Brewer fan for my whole life, and watching them struggle really stinks. Watching them lose all the time is hard, but seeing them win like this is great. It's definitely surprising me, though. Like, coming into the year, I did not think they were going to be this good, but I think it's for real. This is a year to me, even though it's early to say, but I just have a feeling, and it's nice to see when Brawny gets hot and their bullpen and everything and pitching is doing great, just despite the loss last night. That's okay.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the Brewers could have had a good season last year, but they had too many injuries. Ryan Braun was suspended for 65 games. And with him returning and everybody healthy, and now that they've solidified the pitching staff, I think they are going to be a team to watch out for.
James, what about you?
I agree. Everyone's healthy this year. They're starting out really good, but I don't know. I think they're a little bit too hyped up. You know, everyone basically just jumped to conclusions and think that just because they had a couple good games in the beginning that, you know, they're going to go all the way. I think they'll have a good season. They're doing really good, but I don't believe that, you know, they're going to take everything, win everything.
Well, yeah, I mean, even last year they had a lot of great games. They had a lot of, you know, terrible games. And granted, this is still the beginning of the seasons, but I mean, overall they've been doing pretty well with the season. Like I said, 10-3. But I mean, it only takes one game to really set up the end of the end for you guys. So Barrett, what do you think about that? I see you kind of nodding your head.
Yeah, I don't think it's the end of the end. It's still, we're not even 1/10 of the way through the season. They still have the best league in all of baseball. And last year they gave away a lot of games at the end because they didn't have the right closing staff and the right pitching staff. This year their closing staff for the last 2 innings is still on the top of the leagues for ERA. It's like .9, something ridiculous. And I think as long as they stay healthy, they're going to be a team to watch out for.
Travis, what about you?
I agree with that also. Last year, for me, the big thing was the bullpen. They just didn't get it done. They cost them way too many games, and if they can keep doing what they're doing, things are going to be looking good.
You know, a lot of good points, a lot of great points being made. That's why I was very fortunate to have such a great sports panel here to my left. But I'm going to give the points over to Travis this time. I could tell he had a lot of passion in his voice when he was talking about the Brewers. So 20 points over to you, Travis. So great job on that. Moving on to our next topic, the PGA Masters are in place right now. We just saw the end of the FedEx Cup, and the standings right now are Jimmy Walker in the lead, followed by Bubba Watson and Patrick Reed in third. So the next tournament will be beginning this week, April 17th to the 20th, the RBC Heritage Cup. So who do you got for the PGA Masters? Starting off with James.
All right, I got Jimmy Walker. He's at number one right now with 2,046 points. He's really consistent. You know, that's what I go with, consistency. Someone that can maintain stability throughout the whole thing. So I'm taking Jimmy Walker.
Consistency, and I see Travis is all fired up. What do you got, Travis?
Well, the Masters are actually over. They happened this last weekend, so I know that might be news to you because you said you don't know anything about golf.
It's news to me, that's right.
But yeah, Bubba Watson actually won that. He was on top of his game. Like, he was just doing really well. Also, this Jordan Spieth kid, he's really young, and he's a great golfer. I think nerves might have played a role in why he kind of just fell apart there at the end. He had 2 holes where he was up 2, and then he had 2 holes, and he was down 2, just like that. And then Bubba was on top of his game. And once you're behind Bubba, you're not gonna catch him.
Yeah, I think Jordan got caught up in the moment. I am really excited to see what he does in the near future because he did not look like a 20-year-old out there. And when he spoke to cameras, he was very collective and very mature about himself. And you know, after 7 holes, he was -3, and it was the toughest 7. But then I think the nerves kind of got to him, where he was like, "Holy crap! I'm in the lead at the Masters, and I'm only 20."
Great way to end things off, and we're going to do points in a little twofold here. We're going to give 5 points over to James and Barrett, and we're going to take 5 points off of Travis because you don't belittle the guy that gives away the points. So remember that next time, Travis. Next topic will be Aldon Smith, San Francisco 49er linebacker. He was arrested here over in Los Angeles airport. False report of a bomb threat. And then while the LAPD officers arrived on the scene, he continued to be uncooperative, and he got detained. So, great, so we're not in the football season right now, but what does this mean for the 49ers? They have this kind of stigma with them right now. So, James, what do you think?
I don't think it's going to affect them at all. I mean, I wasn't sure who made the false bomb report, if it was someone else that accused him of having a bomb, which, you know, if that was me, I'd be kind of bothered as well. So I can see how he would react to such an accusation, but I mean, at the same time, he probably should have handled things differently, so things would have went better.
Barrett?
Well, I think it might not affect him as much as it's going to affect Colin Kaepernick, who's trying to work out a lucrative deal. He wants an extension worth $18 million, and this just kind of shows you if you give somebody a lot of money and they don't have the maturity, they can't handle it. So I would
Travis, quick thoughts before we take a break?
Guy's an idiot. You don't say you have a bomb in an airport. That's just stupid.
All right, fair enough. So looks like Travis got his 5 points back for making a pretty funny statement. And then we're going to give 10 points over to Barrett, who not only was thinking about Aldon Smith, but was thinking about others. So great job on that there, Barrett. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about the NBA playoffs. So stay tuned.
Hey, can't find what you're looking for?
What?
You can find what you're looking for and more at WMCM. WMCM TV has plenty of shows you can view at your pleasure. There's Profile, where we interview people throughout the community. Or if you like sports, we have Sports Talk Live and SportScene. And if you're into celebrity gossip, that's why we have Afternoon Delight.
Well, that all looks great, but I'm on a computer, not a TV. I bet you guys don't have a way for me to watch this stuff on a computer.
Oh, we have that covered too. Just go to WMCMTV.com for all the updates.
Wow, that solves all my problems. Thanks, WMCM Genie.
welcome back to Sports Scene. How's everybody doing over there? Still doing all right? I'm glad to hear that they're still involved over there. I'm still Alex Riley, and looking at the points now, we have James with 25, Barrett with 35 in the lead, and Travis, he's back at 20. Starting things off for the round 2, we already had the NCAA playoffs, the tournament going on in place, so now it's time to move on to bigger fish with the NBA playoffs. So starting off with contenders, we're going to start things off with Travis, who ended the last round. So Travis, what are your thoughts on the contenders list?
For contenders out of the West, I have the Clippers, the Spurs, and definitely the Thunder. The Thunder are the ones I think that are going to take the championship. Out of the East, I have the Heat, unfortunately. Not a Heat fan, not a LeBron fan. But then I have the Pacers also, even though they've been choking a little bit here. They're going to be in the Eastern Conference Championship versus the Heat.
James?
I agree as well. I'm taking Thunder and Heat. I think Heat is going to take it overall. They are the dream team. I'm not a fan either, but they just have too many weapons on their team. You know, LeBron, you got everyone on there, so I'm taking the Heat overall.
And Barrett, I didn't mean to cut you off there, so we'll have you end things off.
Well, I agree, unfortunately, with the East side of it, as the Heat being the clear-cut favorites. You know, the Pacers have the #1 seed, but they've been falling apart lately. And I think in the West, it's literally a wild, wild West. It can be anybody's game. I think teams like Houston are going to sneak up on people. They've got the big guy, Dwight Howard, underneath, James Harden, who's playing really well all year, and as well as the Golden State Warriors at the 6th seed. If Andrew Bogut comes back from injury, they're going to be another tough team too.
All right, we're going to give away points to 2 different people this time. 5 points to Travis for, even though he admitted he didn't like the team, he still gave him the credit where it was due. And then also 5 points to Barrett, who made the wild, wild reference because that made me smile. So moving on to the next one, we had talked about contenders, and now we're going to talk about pretenders. So, these are the guys that probably are a little bit too big for the britches. So, James, who is too big for the britches over in the playoffs?
I don't have any real specifics. I think all the teams are contenders right now. Everyone is in the race right now. So I don't really have any pretenders, personally.
For pretenders in the East, I have Bobcats. They're going to be playing the Heat right away, so they're done for. And the Wizards. I mean, who knows about the Wizards lately? I mean, this is the first year that they've been good, as far as I know, for a while.
Who knows about the Wizards? Do you know about the Wizards, Barrett?
I do a little bit. I mean, they're a young team. They're very fast. They're very athletic. I think they're going to win a couple games, but I don't believe they're going to go far in the playoffs. I think as far as pretenders, probably the Atlanta Hawks. Nobody's really even heard of them this year. I can't even name 3 players on the roster right now.
Can't even name 3 players. I can't even name 1.
But anyway, also the Dallas Mavericks. They snuck in. They're old. I think they're past their prime. Not going to get it done. Those are the pretenders.
Those are pretenders for you. We still got a little bit more time to talk about pretenders. So any closing comments that you guys have about the pretenders?
I also have Memphis in the West as another pretender, because they're an 8 seed, and it hardly ever happens that an 8 seed knocks off a 1 seed. So that's what I think.
I'm going to play devil's advocate to that one, because 2 years ago Memphis knocked off the San Antonio Spurs, and that was an 8-1 at that point. So I think watch out for Memphis. They know how to do it.
James, any closing comments?
And I'm going to believe with that, or agree with them. I believe in miracles.
You believe in miracles?
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. I mean, taking back to the old Olympics game with the Russian and the USA, things happen. So again, another twofer for points. 5 points to James for anything can happen, and then another 5 points for Barrett because he kind of schooled Travis there a little bit. So take a look at that, and then we have contenders and pretenders. And then we also have dark horses. We have those people that maybe are the underdogs of the playoffs, and that maybe some people, they're kind of off the radar, but maybe they have a shot at the playoffs. So starting things off with Barrett, what's your dark horse?
Well, like I said earlier, the Warriors are a 6th seed, but they do have all the key elements to a successful team. They've got shooters, they've got big guys. If they can get healthy, they can do it. And they took the San Antonio Spurs to the very edge last year and nearly won and went into the finals. So I think watch out for Golden State. In the East, I'd have to say watch out for Brooklyn. They didn't get a whole lot of attention this year, but they've got some crafty vets, and
I think Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce play their best in the playoffs.
I'm going to have to agree with you for the West, the Golden State. They have Steph Curry. He gets unconscious sometimes. And they also have Iguodala. And Bogut, he's hurt right now, but when he gets back in there, things are going to flow. And I think that they're definitely a dark horse, and they can definitely win some games in the playoffs.
What about you, James?
I agree with both of them. There's definitely, I'd say the Nets are definitely a dark horse, but ultimately, you know, the Heat probably going to take it all.
Okay, so we have kind of a three-way tie of sorts. All people agreeing with that, so we got to have some closing comments. Somebody has to have a separate opinion. Come on, this is SportScene.
Okay, I think if one team is going to beat the Heat, it's going to be Brooklyn. They went 4-0 on them against in the regular season, and they also beat them a couple times in the preseason, which doesn't count, but the Heat have not beat the Nets this year.
Travis?
I don't have anything.
James?
I agree.
Oh, well, looks like looks like Barrett is going to be getting 10 points for the fact that he had a separate opinion from the pack, and kind of moving up the fact that he is definitely separating himself from the pack on the points list, because as you can see, 5 points would equal up to 55. So one last thing before we go to a break, talking about the NBA, is that we have the contenders, the pretenders, the dark horses, but bottom line, there's got to be a winner in the playoffs. So for this, who do you got for the NBA playoffs? Starting things off with James.
Okay, I got Heat. As I said earlier, they are the dream team. They have too many threats, too much going on. So I have the Heat.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that, but I'm going to go ahead and say, just to be different, the Warriors. Watch out for Curry. Bogut will come back healthy. And Mark Jackson is going to be proven to be just as good of a head coach as he was a point guard.
What about you?
It's also hard to go against the Heat just because they're going for the three-peat, but I am going with the Thunder just because I think that they have the potential to beat the Heat. They're the only ones that I see that have the potential to beat them, and that will happen in the finals. And I think they'll take it 4-3. It'll go down to Game 7, so that's what I think. And I'll be beyond happy to see the Heat lose just because I can't stand them.
Yeah, I'm happy to see the Heat lose, especially, too, with all the stuff in the media with LeBron James. Definitely getting a little bit too big for his britches on that end. So what's your guys' stance on LeBron James with all of his interviews lately?
Oh, man. LeBron James, I could rant on this for a while, but
we don't have that much time.
He gets way too much media time. I mean, he wears a goofy hat, and they talk about that on SportsCenter for 20 minutes. He puts on, what do you have, a mask, and he gets at least an hour and a half worth of coverage, like total over the week time about a mask. Come on.
Yeah, I think at this point in his career, you'd think he'd probably be a little bit more mature already. I mean, he's finally got his championships, and unfortunately, I think he's just taken full advantage of it. He was self-anointed the king out of high school, and now he's really trying to live up to that name. It's too bad.
What about you, James?
And I believe LeBron's a celebrity just like any other celebrity. That's what you do when you're a celebrity. You know, you get endorsements, you get noticed, you do crazy things, and I believe he's just going with what celebrities normally do.
Well put. We're going to give 10 points over to Travis because saw more of that fire that we gave him points for involving the Brewers. So another 10 points to Travis. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Right after we take a look at those adorable pets that you can adopt at the Cooley Region Humane Society. Excuse me. Take a look for perfect pets.
Make a toast with 9-week-old Chardonnay. Watch out though, even though this kitten's classy, she's a tad bit sassy. Meet Finley, a fine pit bull mix of 10 months who loves his chew toys and is always on the run. Lose your marbles? Well, meet Marble. This cat of 10 months will bring back your senses in no time. Meet Davy, an ecstatic Chihuahua mix of only 3 years. He loves to play, and he'll keep you going all day long.
To find out more about adoption for these pets or others, contact the Cooley Region Humane Society at 781-4014.
Again, is 781-4014. Welcome back to Sports Scene. We have our last and final round. It's more of a final Jeopardy of sorts for the final word. You know, we've been going around talking about topics that I really don't have any idea about. I've been leaving it in the hands of my esteemed colleagues. But now we're going to switch gears to something I'm a little bit more comfortable with, talking about the Ultimate Warrior who just recently passed away from the world of professional wrestling, a tragic death. They had a great tribute on Monday Night Raw last night in his honor. But on the other darker side, Nancy Grace has been making accusations about steroid and drug abuse. So my question for you guys for the final word is, do you think she's right about what she did, or should she have waited just a little bit longer to make a statement? What do you guys think?
I think that it was a little wrong of her to go ahead and say this right away. I think you definitely need to wait a lot longer for this to come out, because the guy was a legend. I mean, from what I know, he's in the WWE Hall of Fame, and he knocked down Hulk Hogan, claiming international titles and WWE titles. And to bash him like that right away, I mean, we need to let his legacy live out for longer than what it did.
Right, and I think it turned out that he died of cardiovascular disease, which may or may not have been attributed from the steroid abuse, but I really think, looking at the pictures, I mean, I loved his long hair back in the day. He had the bandanas, the colorful face, but he chopped his hair off. He buzzed his hair. I think he lost his strength, just like Samson.
What about you, James?
Yes, I think it's horrible what she did. Speculation after such a horrible thing just leads to, you know, a bad perception of him. Steroids, even if you did do steroids, it doesn't make you the person who you are. It doesn't give you extra skills. It might give you strength, but you still need to be a talented person.
Yeah, exactly.
To do what you're doing.
I mean, talent is pretty much something that it's always learned. It's never taught. And especially with steroids, yes, like you said, it gives you strength of sorts. But yeah, as you mentioned, Barrett, is that it was due to cardiovascular disease. And we're going to take a quick break. We're going to get those points tallied up, and we'll find out who the winner was right after this. Welcome back to Sports Scene. He had now we tallied up the points, and I'm going to take a little bit step over here. And as you would see, Travis is the dark horse of this winner. You got 40 points for that little rant about the Ultimate Warrior. So here's your FaceTime. What do you got for us?
My rant goes out to the Milwaukee Bucks. Come on, you guys are a joke. I mean, the Brewers have been playing for 2 weeks, and they already have more road wins than you. That's ridiculous. You guys are a joke. Just leave the NBA. You're never going to be good. That's what I have to say. And also, as Barrett said earlier, today marks the 1-year anniversary of the Boston bombings. That was a terrible thing, and my heart goes out to the victims and all the families.
Barrett, you got anything for us while we still got some time? I know you wanted to talk a little bit.
Yeah, I can't believe you ripped on my Bucks. For one, they are rebuilding, and they're going to be good in 2 or 3 years once we get Wiggins. And I mean, they are going to stay in Milwaukee. They've already talked about who they're going to sell the team to, and it looks like they're going to be around for a while. So
well, that's all the time we have for you. Sorry to cut you off there a little bit, Barrett, but thank you all for tuning in, and catch us in just a little bit. We're going to have another Sports Scene for you in just about an hour. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching Sports Scene. Stay classy.